Truth.
Only one truth.
With consequences.
And that's the truth that I know.
It's time to answer. Bash of the Beach 2000.
Many stories.
Brawl for all.
Definitely having second thoughts.
David Arquette is world champion.
Publicity.
Hear the real story behind the scenes of wrestling's biggest moments. The Montreal Screwjob.
Only one person, and that was me.
Vince Russo's Truth with Consequences. So, welcome to Truth with Consequences Super Bro Edition. Vince, we opened up our Patreon to people to vote for what they wanted this week. We took the two top subjects, which were tied. One of them is going to be our show next week. The other one's going to be our Super Bro show. So our Super Bro show today, among our patrons, there's a lot of interest about you and Ed Ferrara, your relationship, your history, and your process. Is that something you're interested to talk about?
Oh my God, absolutely, because there are so many things that have not been said, that have not been explained. Absolutely, bro. I could talk about Ed. I could talk about my relationship with Ed all day.
So let's start with this. How did you first become aware of Ed Ferrara?
Man, Matt, I got to tell you something which will blow you away. When the three-man committee of me, Cornette, and Vince turned into two men. It was me and Vince McMahon writing the TV. That was it, bro. I was writing the entire show. Then I was bringing it to Vince and going over it with Vince. It was down to two men. Bro, this is 1997, whatever it was. And Matt, I swear to God, Vince told me back in 97, Vince, I don't want to be writing the TVs. I don't want to have anything to do with writing the TVs. He said, I want you to do it. We're going to have to get you some help. I don't want to be doing this. I have too many things to do. This is 97 now, bro.
So I talked to Jake the Snake Roberts this week. I mentioned he said he left the show, the WWF, the first time because he wanted the writer position and he wasn't offered it. It was the position held by Pat Patterson before. Was Pat writing TV? Was Vince writing TV? Who are the people really writing the TV over the course of the height of the 80s and the early 90s?
I don't know how much Bruce did. I know when I first, got my foot in the door, it was Bruce and Pat. That's where it started. It was Bruce and Pat. I don't know how far back that went. So I don't know how that came about when Bruce and Pat started working together. But when I first became involved, it was those two guys.
I know Pat Patterson's reputation. I've met Pat Patterson. I know Bruce pretty well. Neither one strikes me as kind of a detail guy. They seem like big picture guys. Who do you think would have fleshed out the details of a show? Would that have been Vince, maybe?
Matt, think about it, though. When you go back and you look at some of those great shows, bro, the early WrestleMania days, when you go back and look at some of that great stuff, which I've said to this day, in my opinion, was better than the Attitude Era. The WrestleMania 1 to 3, forget it, right?
I would argue WrestleMania 5 with the Mega Powers Explode, that plot line. Was amazing, I was actually at WrestleMania 4 and 5. I was actually there. So they did a 1-year arc storyline, something that they didn't do, that I don't know if it's been done since as well as that,
Yeah. But the thing is, Matt, when you look, television back then was completely different. Bro, there wasn't much detail. It really was broad strokes because that had never been done before. So the broad strokes were enough. Television was nowhere near as intricate as what it became, but it really wasn't detailed. It was really big angles, big personalities in your face. You didn't really have to do much thinking.
How big of a factor to you as a future writer was it when WWF went to NBC? Because that was the first time they did a ton of pre-tapes. I mean, it was a totally different presentation. Bruce has said that Dick Ebersol's approach influenced Vince. Watching on TV, did you say, wow, this is...
Absolutely, no doubt about it. Those shows were freaking great. I wish I was around for those shows. Absolutely, bro. And I mean, yeah, I went for Bruce, for Bruce to say that, I can definitely 100% see that. Absolutely.
So when you get moved into creative, we've talked about that story. It's an awesome story involving Bill Watts and Jim Cornette and all these seemingly fictional characters that are just crazy cartoon people. Where's Ed Ferrara in the mix? When does Ed come in?
Okay. See, Matt, here's the thing. This is very, 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 very important. In the landscape of professional wrestling, Ed Ferrara would have never been hired because everybody in my spot would have made sure that Ed was not hired. Bro, it's what they did to me in 2002. When I almost went back in 2002 and I met with those writers, including Heyman and Michael Hayes, and I laid out a year of television to those writers. Okay, Lagana,
Gerwirtz,
Gerwirtz, all of them. I laid out 1 year of TV. I watched their jaws hit the floor. When I walked out of that room, they knew if Vince McMahon hires Vince Russo, there's no need for us. And they put the kibosh on it. They buried me. Heyman buried me. Hayes buried me. I was told by Court Bauer, Lagana, who I didn't even know, buried me. They made sure I did not get the job. And that was fine with me. And, history tells the rest of that story. So when Vince McMahon tells me Bonnie Hammer from USA Network has this guy who has written a couple of television shows for USA, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Weird Science. Ed Ferrara was a legitimate television writer. He wrote my favorite, bro, that I actually have on DVD is the Munsters Christmas movie. Ed Ferrara wrote that. So now when Vince tells me that, bro, anybody else would have buried this guy. Like, holy shit, this guy's a legitimate television writer. I'm just writing a wrestling show. This guy's going to take my job. That's when Triple H looks at me today and Stephanie McMahon looks at me today, they know if Vince Russo came in tomorrow, he knows more about writing a wrestling show than we'll ever know. So that's why that would never happen. Okay. But with me, Matt, two things happen. Number one, bro, I've said this all along. I have extreme confidence in myself in what I do. I know how good I am, and a lot of that has to do with how hard I work. That's got a lot to do with it, bro. So I have extreme confidence in myself. I'm not afraid of anybody taking my job or anybody taking my spot. Number two, the fact that Ed had written legitimate television, I wanted to learn that. I wanted to learn from a TV writer who had written a pilot and a script and a treatment and been in pitch meetings and worked in LA and worked in the middle of Hollywood. I wanted to work with the guy like that. So as soon as Vince pitched that to me, I was wide open to him, and I was like, Vince, have him come to I think the next show was a pay-per-view and then 2 TVs. I'm like, bro, have him come out to the show. Just have him come out to the show. Let me meet this guy, and we'll take it from there.
It seems strange to me that Bonnie Hammer recommends this one guy, just out of the blue. Do you think it was something he pursued where he saw?
Did. Yeah, he definitely did. She knew Ed was, Ed was a wrestler. Ed was wrestling independently. So she knew Ed wrestled. She knew Ed loved wrestling.
I saw you talk about that on Twitch. What was his name again? Do you remember?
Bodacious Bruce Bodine, I think.
Fantastic.
Yeah, I think that's it. Yeah, well, yeah, bro, you should see his promo shot. It's freaking money. So yeah, no, and Ed was always, hey, yeah, the WWE ever need writers, like kind of that thing. So I'm sure, when it came down and it was just me and Vince, and then I don't know if Vince X Bonnie, could you recommend anybody, or she just recommended? I don't know how that went down.
So you meet him at the pay-per-view, you start talking, and you also already have a great attitude, because it sounds like to me, it's a lot of things I get involved with. This is a guy I can learn from, right?
Bro, not only is this a guy I can learn from, Matt, this is a freaking paisan. This is a guy, bro. I'm a Long Island guy. He's a Jersey guy.
You just look at the last letter in his last name and you go, this is my guy.
So right off the bat, bro, I can learn from this guy. He's a paisan. He's an East Coast guy. And Matt, I'll never forget that night there was I think it was a cage match involving Kane or something. It was a big pay-per-view. And freaking Ed, I don't remember exactly what it was. Ed could tell you. He pitched me an idea for that match that night. And I was like, bro, that's a freaking brilliant idea. And we did it. We wound up doing it. The next 2 days, bro, he kind of trailed me at television. Sean Waltman used to call him the trailer. That's what he used to call him.
He was like a shadow, like your shadow?
Shadow, something like that. Yeah. He shadowed me the next 2 days. And when we got back to Stamford, Connecticut, I said without a shadow of a doubt to Vince McMahon, hire this guy.
So he's brought on. How soon did you guys develop your Vince and Ed bunker mentality?
God, bro, immediately, freaking immediately.
Was he already on board with you as far as it's not a wrestling show? I want to make an entertainment show. Was he on board with the Vince Russo approach right away?
Bro, he was a television writer. He was on board with TV. To him, Honey, I Shrunk the Kids, Weird Science. This was another TV show. I mean, and that's how he approached it. We're on primetime Monday nights at 9:00 on USA Network. This is another we never had to have a conversation about it. We never had to have a conversation about philosophy. When we sat down to write, the mindset was we're writing a television show.
So what is one of your earliest memories you have of sitting down and working on a show with him?
Just, bro, the one-on-one focus, the looking into each other's eyes, and him understanding me and me understanding him, bro. No bullshit, no politics, no 30 writers, no, just the chemistry, bro, between two people that had a lot in common. It made it so freaking simple, bro.
As you guys get more and more successful together and get more confidence from Vince's, from the things you're on TV coming off well, and Vince's support, do you guys start to get a little confidence as a group, as a duo?
Bro, I think we always had confidence, Matt. I think we always had confidence. We never second guessed ourselves. We never, we never questioned ourselves. We were just so in the zone and focused. Always worked when we had to work. It's almost like it was one person. I mean, really, it's almost like it was one person. I can't remember an argument with Ed. I can't remember a disagreement with Ed. We were just in sync, bro.
So let's talk about that. You and I have a relationship where we discuss things and we don't really argue. We discuss them out. Like yesterday during text, we had a disagreement about certain things, about downloads or whatever. And then we just kind of said, okay, well, we think differently. It's cool. Was that like you and Ed? Is that how you guys were?
No. I'm telling you, bro, we didn't think differently. Bro, a lot of times, and I can't tell you what the percentage is, but I would say the majority of the time, and I always did this throughout my entire career, I would throw out the bulk of the ideas. I am a big picture guy. I can machine gun you idea after idea after idea and not get my feelings hurt when you like this and don't like that. I mean, that I never got my feelings. So like a lot of times, like I would start and I would just start fireballing big picture stuff. And Ed was really the detail, think things through. How are we going to do this? What's this going to look like? He was really the detail guy. Bro, again, back then you didn't know what ADD was. Bro, I've had ADD my whole life.
Tell me about it. Yeah.
I've had it my whole life. So like, it's very difficult for me to zero in. Bro, I can't sit down and read a book. I can't sit in a seat for 5 minutes. So I would fire these things at Ed. Boom, 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 boom. He would take them. You could see his mind start to work. And then we would really start breaking everything down.
Let's talk about the beginning of the process. That's what people are really interested in. Your writing process that eventually, I think, just became so natural and second nature because you work together. So it starts, you and Ed, let's say, what night of the week do you start working on the next week's TV?
Okay, well, you got to figure if we did Raw on Monday,
let's say there's no pay-per-view.
Yeah, we got home on Tuesday, so Wednesday. We probably would start the process on Wednesday.
Was that you two in the same room?
That is Ed Ferrara coming to my house in Trumbull, Connecticut. I had a very little house, bro. Bro, do you know, Ed? Matt, do you know when I started working for Vince, I had a purple Geo tracker. Okay, but you know what that is?
Yeah, if I sat in it, it would be like a Flintstones car.
Yeah, but you know what it is, right?
It's a small car.
It's a small Jeep.
Yeah.
Which I loved. And it was purple, bro. And I loved my freaking Geo tracker. Bro, do you know when I started working with Vince and started going to his house, like Vince said to me in so many words, you can't be working with me and driving a car like this. Okay, bro, like literally, he told me I had to get rid of my car and get a better car.
I believe that.
Yeah. The reason why I'm telling you that, bro, is if Vince saw the tiny house that me and my wife and my 3 kids lived in Connecticut, it literally would. Bro, on Vince's property, there's a second house. Shane used to live in there with his wife. It's like a cottage. I guess that's what they call it.
Sure.
Bro, the cottage on Vince's property was 3 times the size of the house that me, my wife, and 3 kids lived in.
You know, once I was at Olive Garden when WWE was in town, and I saw a car, a really nice car, that had a WWE Raw license plate. The next time I saw that car was on TV getting concrete poured into it. I think that Vince loved nice cars, right?
Oh, yeah, bro.
And so your point is that the servants' quarters or the second house at Vince's house is way bigger than the house that you
lived in primarily. 3 times the size of where we lived. So
was your wife up there with you, or was it just you?
No, my whole family, me, my wife, and 3 kids.
Vince knows how to ball, huh?
Yeah. So Ed Ferrara would come to that tiny house. Me and Ed. My kids are at school. Amy was at work. Me and Ed in that tiny freaking house. We would get in a tiny freaking room. And at that time, bro, Jerry Springer was red hot. Springer was so red hot, Matt. It was played back to back to back to back on 4 different channels, 4 hours in a row.
When you were watching Springer back then, did you think it was a work? Did you watch and go, this is all a work? Or did you?
Pretty much, yeah. So we would have Jerry Springer on in the background, kind of as a nuance, just on in the background noise. We would just be the 2 of us, start writing. Okay. Here's how we would write. Okay. Here's the pay-per-view. These are the guys on the card. These are the matches on the card. In this 2-hour show, every single match on this card and every person in those matches has to be represented one way or another in this show.
How far ahead would you get the pay-per-view card?
We're working month to month.
So let's say this is the Wednesday after the Raw after a pay-per-view. You already know generally what the card's going to be for the next pay-per-view?
Yes, pretty much. Either we know it or we're deciding on it that day.
That's what I was going to ask. Who decides it? Does Vince ever just send you the card like, hey, pal, this is what we're going to do?
Oh, no. We decide the card. Me and Ed decide the card. Me and Ed decide what the pay-per-view is going to be. And we're probably doing it, bro, on that very first writers' meeting.
So you said earlier you start with the big ideas. You start throwing ideas at Ed. You start, this idea, that idea, this idea. Ed is kind of maybe working his way through them. Is he the kind of guy you're bouncing idea off of, and he goes, Vince, that's not going to work? Or is he like an improv actor where he's going, yes, and?
Yes, improv. And like I said, bro, we know the pay-per-view card. We know that every match on the card has to be represented. We start with the biggest one. Okay, this is the main event. Okay, bro, so we need to start here. We need to focus most of our time here. And then we would go down the card in importance and relate that to what was going to be on the television show.
So when you're getting ideas, I know you're always bursting with ideas. You're extremely creative. Even your harshest critics will say that about you. Ed never served that function of saying, okay, Vince, I like these 4 ideas, but these 3 ideas that I don't like, or he was on board with all of it?
He was pretty much on board with all of it. I would throw a big idea past him, and then we would really sit there and figure out, okay, how are we going to do it? This is the idea. Now we need to break this down into TV. How are we going to do this? What is this going to look like?
What kind of plans did you make at that moment for the rest of the month? I know you are focused on what's in front of your face, whether we're talking about downloads or whether we're talking about the next show. And you and I are both good at that. We're not good long range planners. When you're going month for month, are you going, oh, we have to save this idea for the week before the pay-per-view? Or were you just like,
no, bro, we'll write the show at hand, Matt. But sometimes while we're writing the show at hand, it'll spill over into week 2. You know what I'm saying, bro? So we'll write the first show, the show at hand, and then as we're talking and spitballing and these ideas are coming, we can already start maybe penciling in week 2, week 3, week 4. So we're penciling in the rest of the month, pretty much putting a skeleton together.
How organized was the process when you're doing this? What was the physical look? Was Ed making outlines, or were you yellow legal pads? What does it look like?
Yellow legal pad, bro. Yellow legal pad. Seg 1, Seg 2, match, vignette, commercial. I mean, just really, really laying out the skeleton of this during this process, because, we're not at the fine tuning stages yet. Just really the skeleton. Okay, bro, this is, there's 12 segments in the show. We need to have 12 segments to bring to Vince. We need to start laying out the show and what it's going to look like. You always start, bro. You got a beginning, you got a middle, and you got an end. So you start there. What's the beginning? What happens at 10 o'clock? How is this story going to end? That's the backbone, and that's the foundation. You get that down first, and then you work around that.
Did you look at it like maybe 4 little stories working in conjunction, all going to the pay-per-view? Or did you look at it like 4 individual beginning, middle, and ends of Raws all the way up into the pay-per-view?
The big story was the beginning, middle, end. The big story, the Austin story, the Rock story, the big story. That was the A story. Then you might have a B story. Maybe Undertaker and Kane are doing something. And maybe that B story will warrant 2 segments, with another thread going throughout the show. But you kind of had an A, a B, and a C story.
You said that you guys wrote the cards pretty much, but who helped you prioritize what was important? Did Vince say to you, that was you guys?
We knew. Oh yeah, we knew, bro. Vince was not involved in the process until we brought the show to him.
When Vince started becoming more and more of an on-air character, did that take away from his time off air so that you guys maybe had more freedom?
No, never. No.
So
bro,
Vince would just be like, hold on, I'll be right back. And he goes on TV and kicks ass and comes back.
Yeah, pretty much, bro. That was the great thing about Vince, bro. And this is what I'm telling you, bro. Like, Matt, you gotta trust me. Listen to me. Are you listening to me?
I think he's fantastic.
Matt, what's your middle name? Let me call you by your full name so I make sure you're listening. What is it?
Matthew.
Yes.
Henry.
Okay. Matthew Henry Kuhn. Are you listening to me?
Yes, sir.
Okay, here was the beauty of Vince. Matt, this is why it's a cluster when you have talent involved in the writing process. Because, bro, I don't care who you are. Your entire career, you are trained to get yourself over. So when you're involved in the writing process, okay, Cody has said the wrestlers are going to write. So when Cody's involved, when the Bucks are involved, whoever is involved, bro, I don't care what they say. They're thinking of themselves first. That was the problem with Jeff Jarrett at TNA, bro. We would go to Jeff's house and, bro, the first 2 hours were spent on what's Jeff doing. Okay, bro? Bro, you know who was the same freaking exact way?
Who?
Dixie.
Oh, I'm sure.
Oh, my. Bro, Dixie's role on TV superseded her running the company. Okay? With Vince, we would write out the show. Here's Vince's parts, bro. We would give Vince the show. We would deliver the show. Bro, whether it was Austin, well, no, Vince definitely put more attention. Austin, Rock, bro, Vince might as well have been D'Lo Brown. Like, would look at it, never question, comment, want to spend 6 hours on what am I doing and why am I doing that and why ain't I doing this? Never. We'd write them in. This is what you guys want me to do. Okay, bro. Never even discussed it. Whereas with other wrestlers, bro, it's a 2 freaking hour conversation.
Speaking of which, I just want to cut in real quick with something. Do you know that we have our first Hall of Fame member of the Russo's Club? Are you aware of this? You're not, are you?
No.
We have a person, he's going to send us a picture of him in a Russo's Club t-shirt. Our first Hall of Fame member who requested a shirt is D'Lo Brown. D'Lo Brown is a member of Russo's Club.
Vince McMahon would look at his character like he was looking at D'Lo Brown, bro. And that was the beauty of it. Because, bro, like, I swear to God, when we used to sit there and write for Dixie, like, we knew this is going to take up our whole day. If we have to produce Dixie for 2 or 3 vignettes, this is going to be the whole day. Bro, that would affect the way we wrote because we didn't have time for it.
This is fantastic. So this is amazing. Let me ask you this really about these characters, because we talk about D'Lo, you talk about characterizations. When I talked to D'Lo, he'd let me know about the D'Lo Brown character because I had no idea who D'Lo Brown was. And D'Lo was giving me all this subtext about who D'Lo Brown was, that D'Lo Brown was a fake tough guy, and everything he did was to make people think he was tough, but inside he felt soft. When you're writing for people, how deep are you into these characters?
Oh, bro, you're in their boots. You become the freaking character. Every character, bro, is going to react differently in the same situation. You become the character. You absorb the character. You know what every character is going to do and why they're going to do it. Matt, can I lay out something for yesterday?
Please. This is fascinating to me.
This is how simple it is, Matt. I am. Let me preface this by saying I am a Becky Lynch fan. Okay?
I think a lot of us are.
Okay. Now, Becky Lynch comes out, I am putting myself in her boots. Okay? She is the man, right? She is the man. Well, Austin was the man. There's been a lot of comparisons to her being a female version of Austin. Okay. She comes out. I'm watching this now. I'm watching this as a writer, bro. That's how I'm watching this. Okay. She comes out. She's the man. She's got the confident walk, which feels somewhat forced. It doesn't feel natural.
Vince, it all feels forced to me. It all does, doesn't it?
Yes. Let me lay out some of the things why they don't know their own characters. Right off the bat, bro, she's got the walk. The walk feels forced. Okay. She gets in the ring, bro. They start chanting Becky, 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 Becky. Bro, what does she start doing? She starts pandering to the crowd.
She also cuts them off instead of kind of like, putting her head up and kind of milking it the way Austin would do.
Yeah. Well, I don't even think Austin would do that. Austin would not do that. He wouldn't do that. He would let them chant, and he's got something he's going to say, and he'd be stomping and pacing around the ring until they were done. Bro, she's smiling like the Cheshire Cat from The Wizard of Oz. Okay, so right there, it's like, Becky, like I never saw Charles Bronson smile in Death Wish.
Your point is that she's pandering to the crowd, which isn't in correlation. It's not consistent with the character that she's presenting.
Yes. My first thing to her would be, Becky, don't ever smile. I don't care if they're chanting your name for 10 minutes. Don't freaking sell it. You don't care whether these people like you, hate you. You're on a mission. You have something that you want to accomplish. You want to kick somebody's ass. You don't care. Then, Matt, what happens on top of that? Right? Here comes Asuka. With the man in the middle of the ring, Asuka upstages her, goes to every corner. Could you imagine Austin standing in the ring and letting somebody walk in his ring and going to every single? That's not, people, please understand what I'm saying. Becky Lynch is not writing the show. But Becky Lynch has to know, bro, she is a brand. Becky Lynch is not going to be working for the WWE forever, just like Austin isn't now. She's got a brand to protect. Becky's got to ask the question, if I am the man and I am this tough bitch that took a freaking full-blown punch to the face, why am I going to stand there and let Asuka upstate? She's got to ask that question. So in the first 5 minutes, without anybody realizing it, they've already done tremendous hurt to that character.
Because there's nobody in there who's really caring and taking care of and taking ownership of that character, right?
And protecting, that's the key word, protecting that brand. That's the key word.
You could even say, that entire segment on SmackDown this week, that they did the same exact issue with Asuka and Charlotte, where all three of them did things that were completely contradictory to their money-making potential. Would you agree with that?
Absolutely, bro. They don't know their own characters, bro. They don't know their characters. They don't know who their characters are. How in God's name can you write for them? I mean, Matt, look at any show. Look at The Office with an ensemble. Look at Friends. Look at Seinfeld. You knew every character, what they were going to say, how they were going to act, how they were going to react. You knew the characters inside and out. Bro, if you don't know your characters, how can you write a show?
So a Becky would maybe come in the ring with a chair, sit down, talk crap. When Asuka's music dared played, she'd just pick up the chair and dare her to come in there.
Absolutely, bro. Absolutely.
And so in the characterization of working with you and Ed, how many conversations did you have about just the smallest details?
Oh my God. Every character on the roster, bro. Every single one.
How many times did you have conversations like, hey, Hardcore Holly is really a badass. Why don't we treat him like a badass? Let's create his character about who he is as a person.
All the time, bro. Matt, here's the thing, Matt. I think we should cut off Twitch, guys. Matt, tell them about the Patreon, bro. If they want to get this full bore, what to do, where to go, what they're gonna get.
This is a Super Bro exclusive for just, a couple dollars a day, less than $1 a day. You can get the show early. You can get it much longer. I think I cut off 45 minutes off of the show this week. Commercial free. I think we don't talk about that enough. It's ad free. And you also get bonuses. And some of our Russo Club elites get t-shirts every month. And their only way to get those shirts is to become a member. So go to patreon.com/RussoCoonTWC. Thank you to everybody on Twitch. I just thank everybody in the Russo's brand who's so supportive to Vince Russo and what we're doing over here. And come and join us over at Patreon. We'll finish this conversation together.
All right, guys, we will see you later. Matt, the whole idea behind wrestling, and it will never change, is the suspension of disbelief. So when I would get stuck, when Ed would get stuck, Matt, where would we go immediately? Okay, we're stuck. We're stuck.
I know.
Where?
Reality.
Where? Reality. Logic.
Okay.
Logic and okay, we're stuck. So what would Austin do? We helped create this character. We know the personality of this character. We know the traits of this character. Put into this position, what would this character do? Bro, when you have two people writing, Matt, you can do that. You can do that. The structure is effed today. It is effed. You can't do this, bro, with 20, 25 people. It's impossible.
Let's talk. I want to lead to that because let's talk about Ed Ferrara as a human being and as a political person. Not a political person, quiet, reticent, laid back, didn't make waves. That's kind of the viewpoint I have of him. Am I wrong?
First of all, I have no idea what reticent means, bro. Don't get cute with me. Don't get cute.
Quiet.
Don't get cute, Henry.
Oh, shit. So, the last 6 generations of my family, the first son's middle name is Henry. So we went to that, and Matthew is the only junior. So I am Henry.
Henry's a great name, bro.
Yeah,
Henry Higgins.
It's not bad. It's not bad.
Yeah.
But it just means
Henry
laid back.
the Eighth I am. Henry the Eighth I am. You know that song?
I got married to the woman next door. She's been married seven times before.
And everyone was a Henry. Henry. All right, go ahead, man.
The Herman's Hermits.
Yeah,
right?
I have, bro. I literally got every one of their albums behind me.
Man,
Peter Noonan.
I wish people would listen to it, because people like wrestling too much. But you and I could just do a music show. It'd be fantastic.
Oh, forget it, bro.
You know, and one day I'll bring a guitar out, and you can try to stump me and see what songs I don't know how to play. I think that would be kind of fun.
That'd be great. I'd love that, bro. I'd love that.
But with what I mean is, he is quiet and doesn't make waves. So that's
because he's got me. Like, you know what I'm saying, bro? Like, bro, people that worked under me closely, like, they knew, like, I always took care of them and I always had their back. Bro, I can't tell you how many increases in pay I got Ed, because Ed was ready to walk. I mean, bro, it got to the point a couple of times Ed couldn't stand the sight of Vince McMahon. I mean, and bro, Ed hated Shane. And bro, I can't tell you how many times he was gone. He was done. And I'd say, Ed, what's the freaking number, bro? And then I would literally go to Vince and say, bro, you're either going to pay Ed this or he's going.
Where's Ed from originally? California?
No, Jersey.
So he's from Jersey.
Yeah. He went to California to write TV, bro.
Was Ed the kind of guy, and I'm not talking bad about him, but was he the kind of guy to talk a bunch of shit and he's pissed off, but he doesn't really have it in him to take it to someone's face and say it? No, I'm not calling him a coward. I'm just saying someone who just would rather keep that shit under wraps.
He wasn't confrontational like that, Matt, but he would leave. If Ed said, I'm done, I knew, bro, he's going to leave. He was not grandstanding. Like, I knew, bro, he's gone.
So I bring this up because I think there's an interesting point to be made here. I've met Dave Lagana. You know Dave Lagana, right?
Yeah.
Okay. I've met Brian Gewirtz. You've met him and talked to him. Did Vince hire future writers more in the mold personality-wise of Ed Ferrara versus Vince Russo? Because both those guys are kind of quiet, laid back. Like,
bro, those guys, Ed Ferrara would eat those guys alive. Because, like I said, bro, Ed's not gonna argue with you. Ed's not gonna rant and rave. Ed's not gonna scream. Ed will go home.
Yeah, but they're not strong personalities, is I guess what I'm saying. And Ed, maybe Vince just wanted someone who wasn't going to be, in his mind, maybe he wanted someone who could write, but maybe not be Vince Russo as far as.
Oh, bro, listen, after I worked with Vince, I mean, I could understand, bro, why he would never want a Vince Russo. He would never want to work with another Vince Russo. I don't think that was smart. But I can, when Eric Bischoff said Vince is hard to work with, you're damn right I'm hard to work with, bro, because I want this to be the best show that we ever wrote. So, yes, bro, I am hard to work with. And if something sucks, if I think it sucks, bro, I don't care if you're Vince McMahon. I don't care who you are. I'm going to tell you I think that's god awful.
Now, this particular podcast is preaching to the choir, Vince Russo fans, TWC fans, but, and I will say this on a wider platform, that fuck that. You're not hard to work with. You're easy to work with. I've not had any problems working with you, dude. And so.
No, but Matt, you got to understand in wrestling, Matt, here's the mentality in wrestling. I'm telling you, bro, this is the mentality. I want to do as little as I can, and I want to make as much as I can. Like, bro, that's why I'm saying, like, when I tell you how we worked, it should be clear today to you or anybody else why Eric Bischoff and I did not get along. Because Eric did not want to put the effort into the television product from the creative end that needed to be put in it. The perfect case in point, bro, like when I tell you, when Dixie's structure was all effed up, and I would sit there with Matt Conway, and we would literally stick our thumbs straight up our ass, waiting.
Not literally.
No, straight. No, as a shoot. Waiting for Eric to look at the shows. Bro, it doesn't work that way. The television show is everything. Without a television show, you have nothing else. The television show takes priority over everything. I don't give a shit what you're doing. I don't care if you're freaking riding your freaking donkey in Wyoming. I don't give a shit what you're doing. Everything stops when it comes to the show. Without the show, you have nothing.
With you and Ed working so well together and you and Bischoff not working together, I'm not sure, I don't know how hard a worker Eric is. I will say in music, you like Creedence Clearwater Revival? Is that a band you like?
Oh, yeah, yeah.
So Creedence had a hierarchy. John Fogerty ran that shit, okay? His brother Tom was always pissed off that he didn't have the creative input, like George Harrison, that kind of thing. And eventually, John just broke down and said, fine, this next album will be on equal footing. We're going to put it out. The album sucked. The band broke up. So is the thing that worked with you, it was a very clear hierarchy, I think. I think Ed kind of worked for you, and I think you worked for Vince. And it was a clear hierarchy. With you and Eric, you guys were set up, and we're going to talk about this. We did this on a practice show before we ever did a show about you and Eric and Brad Siegel. You guys were never set up in a hierarchy, and you guys were almost set up to fail because you're two alpha males, and both of you have been told you're both in charge.
Well, no, yeah, we'll get into that at another time. But bro, I gotta be honest with you, Matt. Even though you lay out the hierarchy that way with Vince, bro, it never felt like, and I never, ever treated Ed like he was working for me. Ever. It never. I mean, that he was a partner. Every interview I do to this day, Attitude Era, me and Ed, me and Ed, me and Ed, me and Ed. I never looked at it that way. He was never treated that way in my eyes, like he was a partner.
So you guys developed this partnership, and you guys are writing the show. We'll get back. You have 12 segments. Is that what you said?
I think it was, Matt, 12 or 13, something like that.
What did it look like when it was finished? Did you do a second draft? Was it written first and you typed it up? How did all that look?
We would get together. We would lay out the entire show. Every vignette, every backstage interview, every match, we would lay out the entire show. Ed would leave. I would type up that format completely.
Did you make little changes as you typed it up as well?
Sometimes little tweaks that like where like we didn't see this when we were laying it out, but it's kind of like obvious. So like little tweaks just to really dot the I's, cross the T's. I would write out that whole show. The next day, we go to Vince's house. Now, bro, here's what you got to understand with me and Ed. We were so in tune with each other, and we were so in tune with Vince. While we're writing this show, we know where he's going to poke the holes in it. So we know, okay, Vince is going to say this, Vince is going to say that, Vince is going to say this. And we knew when we presented him with this show, we knew what every objection was going to be, and we knew what our argument was going to be. We knew what Vince was thinking and how he would react before he even saw the show.
That in mind, if you have knowledge of where Vince is going to have objections and you have answers ready, did you also have options ready as well?
Absolutely, bro. Yes, absolutely.
And did you ever write, being that Vince was a creative guy that sometimes would see the big picture and be able to plug in a holes? You said before he could take a B plus or A minus into an A plus just by being Vince.
Yep.
Did you ever go, man, maybe Vince will help us with this little thing?
Never.
So
we would kick ourselves leaving his office. We would bang our heads against the wall. Why didn't we see that? Why didn't we see that every freaking time? And man, I'm telling you, it was like one thing. It was like always that one thing, and but the reason we didn't see it, Matt, is, bro, we're laying out 13 segments. You see what I'm saying? So he's getting all this handed to him. So for him to pick out the little things, that's all he had to do, bro. But we would kick ourselves when he saw something we didn't see.
Sometimes I will have a musical idea and I will write a song. I'll even do work on it. I'll spend hours and hours on it. And I go to bed thinking it's the greatest thing I've ever done. I wake up in the morning and I go, that was shit. And I just erase it. Did you guys ever have those moments together?
No.
So once the idea's out, you had full ownership of it in your heart?
Absolutely. If anything, we would go back to it and make it better, if anything.
And you don't see yourself as a prideful or egocentric guy, but there's no doubt about, in my mind, you have a sense of ego as far as a good sense of self, a good sense of I, a good sense of what your perspective is. How much ownership did Ed take in the ideas as opposed to the ownership you took in your heart and your head?
You know, he never really had to, bro, because everybody always looked at me. You know what I'm saying, bro? Like I was the freaking Long Islander with the big mouth and who was going to be truthful and who was going to be honest. Everybody, that's just the way it was, bro. And it's that way to this day. I mean, Ed never gets blamed for anything. It was always me. I was the one that was always looked at. That was fine with me, bro. I don't want Ed to get any heat. That's totally fine with me. I don't think one time I've ever said, "Oh God, that was Ed's idea." I don't think I've ever said that once.
Was Ed a guy who would pitch when you guys did this brainstorming? We talked about he was more of a guy who said yes and, like you'd have an idea and he would say yes and. Did he come up with ideas that you were like, oh my God?
Oh yeah,
Ed,
and it wasn't just
brilliant.
yes and, it was okay. Well, how about we do that this way? Oh no, always, bro, always.
Bruce Pritchard has said that the way to work with Vince is to use the words "what if." Was that something that you guys used a lot with Vince and talking to him? Is to say "what if" as opposed to just dismissing an idea?
The what ifs would take place with me and Ed. When we were with Vince, we're in cell mode. We know when we go to Vince, bro, we know we're bringing Vince the best show we're capable of writing. We know that. We honestly feel that. So we're in cell mode now. We're in Vince. This is why this has to be on TV this week.
When I'm working on a song, writing a song, producing something, I'm immersed personally. I'll wake up whistling the song. I will think about it as I'm driving. Would you get ideas like, were you that immersed in the process where it was pretty much taking up all the space in your brain?
Oh my God, Matt, in the shower, on the shitter, at a restaurant with my wife, bro, nonstop, like non-freaking stop, Matt, nonstop.
I've always said that creative people are different in that, you could sit out in a field and sit there and everybody else would see a field and you would look at the field and go, wow, we could have a character that's allergic to grass or something like that. You would see a creative idea. So
nonstop,
you would
bro.
see, there's something called the Tetris effect. You ever heard about that?
No.
So people that play a lot of Tetris, the game Tetris?
Yes.
So people that play a lot of Tetris, they'll drive around and they'll look at a brick wall and they'll figure out how to finish the brick wall. You know what I'm saying? They'll look at just cars on a highway and their brain will arrange things in a way for a Tetris thing. Is that the kind of way your brain was conditioned where you were seeing wrestling angles wherever you looked?
Yeah. Oh, yeah. No, absolutely, Matt. It was always on my mind and I'm always thinking about it, bro. That's why a lot of times, bro, like I'm watching a show now and I'll watch Raw or Raw SmackDown, and I'll be on Twitch, and people would say to me, okay, Vince, what would you do in this case? And it's like, bro, I can't even answer that question because I wouldn't be in this spot. Like, you know what I'm saying? So, like, I'm not going to think about, okay, where they are, and now I've got to some way or another try to make sense out of, like, where they are. Like, I can't tell you what I would do because I wouldn't be in that spot, bro.
I was at a photo shoot once with a great musician at Prince's photographer was taking pictures, and a song comes on the radio. It's called "The Love You Take." It's an old school soul song, and he goes, "Matt, you know this song?" And I go, "Yeah, it's identical to Just the Two of Us." And he says, "Yeah, it's like that, except it goes to the 4 chord. It doesn't resolve to the 1 chord at the end of the second verse. It resolves to the 4 chord. It's the difference." And we're talking about this. The photographer's looking at us like we're fucking nuts, right? Mm-hmm. And I look at the guy and I go, "Sorry, dude, I can't turn this off." Is that you? You still can't turn it off, right?
I could turn it off now because I don't care. Like, I literally don't care, bro. Like, so, like, but bro, I'm just going to be honest with you. Like, the WWE is so bad. I'm not tuned in at all. I don't care, bro. They've literally made me not care. They would have to say to me, "Okay, Vince, we're hiring you to write the show," for me to care. I don't have 1 ounce of care in my body with what they're doing.
When you look at wrestling and you say, "Wow, that's shit," that's something, and I don't think you turn that off, because if you could turn it off, you wouldn't say it's shit. You would just be like, "Well, here we go." It was Ed the same way? Was Ed like, "Oh my God, look what they did with that character"?
Yeah. You know, bro, that's the thing. Again, it's like my beef with them is freaking effort. I'm watching this show. You're not putting any effort into this show. Okay, bro. Oh, God, bro. Almos and freaking Ray was great last week. So let's do it again this week and have 2 out of 3 falls. Bro, a freaking moron could do that. I mean, like, that's all you're doing. An idiot can do that. There is no thought process whatsoever being put into either one of those shows.
When we talk about effort, Thomas Edison said, invention is, 2% inspiration, 98% perspiration. How much effort and time did you guys put into, for instance, let's say you wanted to come up with a name for a character or a segment. Would you guys throw out 100 ideas and go, "That's not good enough. That's not good enough"?
Absolutely, bro. And bro, that was the thing, Matt. When we're writing TV, we don't want to write anything you've seen a million times before. We don't. And a lot of times we would catch ourselves doing that. Like, "Oh, shit, bro, I've seen this before." And we would agonize. No, bro, we got to give them something new. We got to give them a new look. Wrestling fans have seen this a million times before, and we would not leave until we had it.
So this bunker mentality, you guys working on it, you guys do have ownership of the scripts. You watch it together. Did you guys watch the shows together, actually?
No.
So when you got together on Wednesdays, would you go over what worked and what didn't work, or were you guys past it already?
No, bro. I would always try to, because again, time was of the essence. I would always try to go back and watch the show to see what worked and didn't work, what we might have missed. I would always try to do that, bro. Could
you guys watch or talk about it the next day and go, "Well, that sucked"?
Oh, yeah, absolutely.
Fault.
Absolutely.
And how much did you take your own perception into account versus what Vince's feedback was?
What do you mean?
I guess if you're watching a show and you go, "That sucks," how much of that impacted you, your personal viewpoint, versus Vince's feedback saying that sucked? What was more important? What was more important to you?
Us thinking it sucked, because Vince was out of touch and out of tune over a lot of things. And bro, keep in mind, Vince is only 50 at this point, and bro. Ed and I were working in the bubble, but we didn't live in the bubble. We were just working in the bubble. Okay, when we were done working in the bubble, then we would go home. Vince was in the freaking bubble. And a lot of times, bro, he looked at everything as wrestling, because he just didn't know any other way. So we were more critical on ourselves, knowing that, bro, we effed up, we dropped the ball, we should have done this, we should have done that, opposed to what Vince would say.
This whole idea of sports entertainment versus wrestling, to call them titles instead of belts, to call them medical facilities instead of hospitals, to kind of get outside that bubble, was that influenced by you, do you think, on Vince?
Oh, no doubt, bro. No freaking doubt. I told you, bro, one day Vince turned around to me and said, Vince, one of these days we're not even going to have a wrestling ring on this show. Well, look at what that's turned into.
Well, I mean, you have the Total Bellas.
Yeah, well, that's true.
So, looking at you and Ed, you have ownership. You take pride in the Attitude Era. How would it have been different if it was somebody else versus Ed Ferrara?
Well, bro, that's a great question, because Matt Conway was kind of in the Ed Ferrara role at TNA. The only difference was, bro, honestly, Matt didn't have any experience when he started, and Matt was a lot younger than me. So that made the dynamic a little different, because I was really the teacher and he was really the student. And a lot of times, like I had to discipline him, almost like he was one. He was like my son Will's age. And the dynamic was a little different that way, just because he was younger and he didn't have any experience.
When you watch, your son works for DDP. My son, when we listen to music, he criticizes it. It drives me crazy. He criticizes it exactly the same way I would. He goes, man, that riff is not good enough to go to it so many times. Do your kids see wrestling and creativity the same way you do?
Bro, my son Will calls me, and he goes hysterical over wrestling. Bro, bro, there's somebody working at DDP right now, and they're starting their own promotion, their own indie promotion in Atlanta, right? So the guy asks Will to go and film it. So, bro, it's one of these 2019 indie shows. And my son Will comes back and he's like, bro, and he says that to me too. You're like, bro, you won't believe what these guys are doing. Like he mirrors me exactly. With
you and Ed, what was your personal relationship like at the time? Were you guys friends? Would you have dinner?
Oh God, yeah, we were brothers, bro. We were absolute brothers. I consider us brothers to this day. Bro, I swear to God, Matt, it would be so easier for me to easily win so many of these debates with Ed Ferrara by my side, because Ed was in the trenches and Ed experienced a lot of the same things that I did. But I know Ed doesn't want to have anything to do with wrestling. So I don't drag Ed in. I don't say, Ed, would you back me up on this? Ed, can you make a statement about that? I don't do it. So the fact that he doesn't want to have anything to do with wrestling, and I unfortunately am still kind of entrenched in it, I kind of give him his space, because I don't want to call Ed and talk to Ed about wrestling.
You brought along Matt Conway later on as a protege, maybe Ed Ferrara 2.0. How would things have been different in the Attitude Era if you would have had a Matt Conway versus an Ed Ferrara? Did Ed Ferrara have a point of view of his own that kind of affected stuff, or was he more of a Matt Conway where he would just kind of follow your lead? Nah,
bro, Ed knew television. Ed knew television. Ed wrote television. Ed knew television. He knew television 1,000 times more than I did, and I needed that. And that's where I learned about how to freaking write TV.
Can you give me some specifics as to your writing and your writing as the former Vic Venom, as the magazine writer, A Million Ideas? What did Ed bring to the table that made it more television ready?
Bro, this is why I tell you, Matt, about your A&W. Okay, bro, you can't, bro, you're an ass. You're an ass if you think, okay, bro, we're going to have a television show without television writers. Bro, you're an ass. The fact that you're even thinking that way is asinine. Bro, structure, formatting, dialogue, commercials, hooks, cliffhangers, segues, announcer notes. I mean, bro, you have no idea what it takes to sit down and script out and structure and format a television show. Very few people know how to do that. Bro, Matt Conway did that at TNA. Like I did it at the WWE. I did it at WCW. When I got to TNA, like I let Matt start formatting the shows, and he went on to do it long after I left. Bro, very few people know how to do that. So the fact that like a guy like Cody would say, we don't need writers, bro, you're freaking clueless. I swear to God, bro, that's the equivalent of me saying I don't need wrestlers for a wrestling show.
Would you feel a little silly about the A&W thing? And there is an A&W t-shirt coming. If maybe they do have a couple guys you respect coming along, but maybe they're under contract, or maybe, you know, I think they probably have some plans to bring some guys in like that. Don't you think?
Wait, say that again now?
Don't you think that Cody and them actually do have some guys they're going to bring in? For instance, JR's under contract at WWF right now. Maybe they have plans to bring him in, or something like that.
Maybe they do, bro, but why are you saying such stupid things? Don't say anything, bro. That's the point. Of course, bro. Bro, I even went as far as to say, bro, for all I know, JR's working behind the scenes now. Right. That's definitely a possibility when it comes to dollars and cents and paying people. But I mean, bro, why are you saying, oh, we're not going to have television writers? It's going to be about wins and losses. Oh, bro, unionizing the boys would put the wrestling business out of business. Bro, like, why are you saying these? These are not things that a vice president would or should be saying.
You and Ed both, towards the end, developed your resentment, your feeling of lack of appreciation, simultaneously, synonymously. You guys thought the same way?
Yeah, no doubt.
And when the talk started with WCW, what was the first conversation you had with Ed about it?
Wait, say that again now?
When you decided, I'm going to start talking to WCW, did you talk to Ed first, or did you tell him after you had talked to them?
Bro, what happened was I believe, and see, that's why this is where I wish I had Ed, because Ed would know immediately. Bro, I don't even know if Ed knew I was going to Atlanta. I know when I was in the meetings with them on Saturday, I pitched Ed Ferrara to them on Saturday, and they had me fly Ed in the next day. I don't even remember how much I told Ed before that.
If they said to you, okay, Vince, we like you, we like your ideas, here's your money, here's your 2 years, but they said, hey, we don't know about this Ferrara guy, we want Terry Taylor to work with you, would that have, or someone like that, would that have worked for you?
I mean, I would have had to be in charge.
But Ed wasn't really like a make or break point for you to move.
No. And that had nothing to do with Ed. That had to do with I was gone from the WWE. Like, that had nothing to do with Ed. That had to do with, I'm Vince. I'm done with you. Goodbye. I'm gone.
When you did decide and you did want to bring Ed with you, you told Ed, was Ed's attitude like, hell yeah, let's go later, bitches? Or was he like, are you sure, Vince? Or
No, he was on a plane that next day.
what was your we don't talk about this enough. You go to WCW and you're immersed in this whole new world, this whole new culture, but it's really the two of you, right? What kind of conversations did you have about that, the culture at WCW when you first got there?
Bro, we still tried to do our job the same way because we knew it worked and we knew it was successful. We knew what we had to do. And despite it all, bro, we tried to do it, man.
We talked about how Ed had a conversation with Roddy Piper before you did, and the fact that you couldn't talk to everybody. There's 150 damn people on the payroll. Did Ed have a heightened role in WCW than he had in WWF? Certainly you did.
Well, he did too. We had a lot more we had to do. I mean, there was nothing in place, bro. Nothing in place. We had a lot more that we had to do, and we had to accomplish a lot more.
Were his frustrations parallel to yours in WCW when you got there? Like, as you started getting upset about these older guys don't want to work with us, this place doesn't know how to hold poles or hold boxes on a pole, where you were getting frustrated, was Ed along with you on that ride?
I don't think so, bro, because, we had a 2-year contract, and I think because of Ed's experience in Hollywood, Ed was more like, bro, they're going to pay me for the next 2 years. Yeah, you know what I mean? So, like, I don't think Ed carried it as much as I did. I really don't believe he did.
Was he good at creating relationships? Like in WWF, did he have good relationships?
1,000 times better than me. A million times more personable than I was. Ed knew everybody's name, bro, like lighting and sound and, ring crew. Ed knew everybody's name, bro. I'd work with some people 2-3 years. I didn't know their name.
Like Taka Michinoku?
Yes, exactly.
So
somebody was telling me the other day, bro, like somebody just said, I actually worked with freaking Nakamura. I had no idea.
You said his name.
I had no
perfectly.
idea. I'm glad I was nice to him. I think he said something nice about me.
You said his name perfectly.
Yeah, Nakamura. I could say Nakamura.
And what's his first name?
Takahashi.
So with these creating relationships, Ed is more personable. It's just Ed's personality, I guess.
Yeah, yeah.
Was there certain times that you would be like, okay, if I present this idea to this guy, he might not like it. Let me send Ed. He's a better guy to sell it.
No. No. So, no. I would never put that on Ed. I would handle it when I knew there was going to be an issue.
How would you describe Ed's role in WCW?
Bro, we had a falling out, bro, because keep in mind, I got screwed and, I made the decision to go home and Ed made the decision to stay. And that was kind of dicey, bro, because it was difficult for me because it was like, bro, they just effed me here. And like, I brought you in and you're supposed to be my boy. And you're going to stay and write. But on the other side of the coin, bro, I had to balance. Okay, bro, Ed moved his wife here. What the frig is Ed supposed to do? Is Ed's entire life supposed to be affected because of a decision I made? Now, bro, I'll be honest with you. If the shoe was on the other foot, I would have left with him. I know I would have. That's what I would have done. But I can't expect people to act the same way that I would have.
Now, all this takes place in your head, of course. I know you well enough to know that in your head you're thinking, wow, these guys effed me. I brought Ed in. He should be loyal. At the same time, he brought his family out. At the same time, if it was me, I might do it differently. outside of your head, how did that come out to Ed when this happened, where WCW said, okay, Vince, we want you to be part of a committee. You're like, fuck this, I'm leaving. What was the conversations you had with Ed that maybe led to a little bit of a falling out?
Bro, I'll be honest with you. First of all, you know my good friend Vito.
I do.
To this day, Vito despises Ed because of that. To this freaking day. And, you know, bro, when I went home, and this is part of the reason, too, why Vito despises Ed kind of tried to take over. Ed kind of tried to take my place. And like I said, bro, like, was I hurt? Yes. Was I mad? Yes. Was I upset? Yes. Would I have done that? No. But, you know, like I said, bro, he moved his wife there. He moved his family there. He just handled it much, much differently than I would have.
He moved his family there. He moved his life there. He believed in me and came with me. His whole life is now here. He needs to make money. Is that Vince Russo 2019 talking? Vince Russo 2000 might have said something different.
No. I was thinking that way back then. I'll tell you why, Matt. Because I liked the guy so much and cared about him so much and kind of looked at him as a brother so much. I wanted to kind of make excuses for him. You know what I'm saying, bro? I wanted to really rationalize, okay, bro, like, why are you doing this? Because of how much I really genuinely cared about the guy.
What was the conversation? What did you get heated? Were you pissed off when he said, yeah, Vince, that's nice and all, but I'm going to stick around?
No, we kind of didn't talk, bro. We kind of didn't talk. And then what happened was, well, and 3 months later, they called me back. So, like, now what? You know what I'm saying?
That's the most fascinating thing to me. If Vince Russo ruined WCW, if Vince Russo was such a cancer, if Vince Russo is such a terrible person, then the people who brought you back are the ones who are to blame. Now, I don't think any of that's true, but think about it. Like, if you were so bad, first of all, why would they bring you back? And second of all, if they brought you back, it's on them now, right?
Bro, in 3 months, after 3 months, they knew they got worked. Brad Siegel knew they got worked. I don't even think Bill Bush was not around when I went back. He was gone. They knew that they had been worked when they called me back. And I knew they were getting worked, and I knew they were going to regret it, and I knew what was going to happen, and it was kind of one of those things where, well, you guys are going to have to find this out on your own.
Why do you say that Ed tried to take over? What makes you say that? Who told you that? And why do you believe that?
Just people, that were there and that were, still working there. Like I said, guys like Vito, Terry Taylor, guys like that. I think Ed saw that as an opportunity.
Knowing Ed as well as you did you get a read on that in your own head that maybe Ed wants a bigger role one day?
Yeah. Yes.
And do you think he'd be capable of doing that?
No.
Is it because of the personality? Is it because he's not a big idea guy? Why?
Personality. I mean, bro, I was sitting with Bill Goldberg 6 inches from my face, and I thought he was going to absolutely kill me. Ed could not handle situations. Ed wanted to be liked by everybody. Bro, I want to be liked by everybody too. But if I think you're full of shit, I'm going to tell you I think you're full of shit. Ed would not have been able to handle the face-to-face, head-on confrontations.
So once you left, you said there wasn't really a conversation, or maybe there was one you didn't remember, but definitely it led to the fact that you did not talk to him. You guys were like, you felt betrayed, right?
I felt betrayed, and we talked, and Ed would tell me later on that every time we talked, all I talked about was me and my situation and what they did and what happened to me. And I never really asked him how he was doing and his wife. And you know what, bro? I probably didn't ask you because of what you did. You know what I'm saying, bro? I was probably subtly reminding you of like, okay, bro, they screwed me. They screwed me for no reason. I'm sitting home now. I'm wondering if they're going to pay me every freaking 2 weeks. And, he was, I guess trying to gain some leverage in WCW at the time.
Are you the kind of person, you're someone who's so in the moment and someone who's so, what's in front of your face and very passionate about what you do? For instance, with your wife, when you have a day where people are, you're having one of your bad days where someone says something shitty about you and things escalate are you the kind of person that forgets that your wife had a day too?
Yeah.
And that's kind of what Ed's main thing was with you. It's not something that makes you a bad person. It's kind of just how you're wired, right?
Yeah, and when he told me that, he eventually told me that, I agreed with him, and I thanked him for telling me, and I said, "You're right, bro. You're absolutely right." And I apologize that I acted that way. Yeah, I mean, he called me out, and I told him he was right.
You come back. We're going to talk about this at another time. And you start working with Bischoff. You're brought back. What's Ed's role there? What's your relationship with him when you come back?
Yeah, it was never going to be what it was, bro. We still work together in some capacity, but it was never going to be what it was.
Is it possible that you may have said some things to him that you regret or you shouldn't have in your falling out?
I don't think so, Matt, because fast forward several years later, I bring him back into TNA. You know what I mean, bro? So like, even after all that, I think I still did the right thing.
Was it a little bit when you go back to WCW and spring of 2000? Was it a little bit like getting back together with someone who maybe cheated on you, and you still love them and wanted to be with them, but the trust wasn't there anymore?
Yeah, 1,000%.
And so, what was his role in the short-lived Bischoff Russo regime?
Bro, like me and Bischoff didn't last that long together, and Ed was not really involved creatively during that time. But once the thing had blown up between me and Ed, I mean me and Eric, Ed was more involved creatively, but not to the point that he was before all that went down.
He was part of the committee?
Yeah.
And so the committee, people talked about, it had Disco and you and Kevin Sullivan sometimes and Terry Taylor.
No, Kevin Sullivan. Me, Disco, Ed, Terry Taylor, Jeremy Borash, Bill Banks. That's about it.
And the relationship with you and him in your time throughout the rest of WCW, you weren't friends anymore? Would that be accurate?
I wouldn't say that. I would not. We weren't brothers anymore.
How hurt, Vince? You're a sensitive guy. How hurt were you by all that with Ed?
Very hurt. Bro, you got to understand something with me too, Matt. Like, people don't understand this. Bro, the Italian thing is very, very deep with me. You should never get screwed over by one of your own people. And that's very, very deep with me. The fact that he was a fellow Paisan, it was like almost kind of like Soprano, like, bro, like we don't do that to each other, bro. Like that's the way I was raised. I was raised in a very tight knit, traditional Italian family. Bro, you don't do that.
Does your mom make a good gravy?
She did, yes.
Or did, yes. And do you ever cook Italian food for your family?
No, because I could never live up to what my grandmother made. It would be a joke.
When you're out in Colorado, right? And let's say you come across somebody, you meet somebody who his last name ends with a vowel. Do you immediately feel like, oh?
I mean, bro, I called Joey Chickamauga last night. I knew immediately, bro. 3 seconds into the conversation.
So with you and Ed, your time at WCW comes to an end. You leave WCW. You get the call from Jeff Jarrett, about TNA. How did you get back involved with your old friend Ed Ferrara?
Bro, it was the same situation. It was when Dixie laid everything in my lap when the Jeff and Karen thing went down. I needed help. I can't do all this by myself.
What a fucking earthquake that was, right?
Oh God, bro, please.
Because Dixie's just firing people left and right.
Yep.
She's distrustful. And then you say, I need a Ed Ferrara now.
Yes.
To replace who?
No, to help me. He wasn't replacing anybody, bro. It was like just me doing everything.
How much were you in contact with Ed in those post WCW months?
We needed some time to pass, bro. Like some time really, really needed to pass. So probably a couple of years passed before, we had consistent contact again.
And so when you knew you were going to call him, did you already know he would be open to that, or were you unsure of what his response would be?
No, I knew he would be open to it. Because like he needed work at the time.
You knew he needed a gig.
Yeah.
And so what was his role when you brought him in? Was it like, did you try to recreate the old magic?
Yes.
And how well were you able to get over that resentment that you weren't able to in WCW?
Bro, you know what was tough that second time around? Between WCW and TNA, Ed was teaching. Okay, bro, he became a teacher during that time for several years. Okay, bro? When I started working together with him again, I kind of felt like he was like in teacher mode and like I was the student, and it was like, bro, like I'm not one of your students. Like, bro, I'm telling you, bro, it was a completely different dynamic that just did not work.
Do you think that was purposeful on his end, where he says, I'm going to stake out my claim this time, I'm not going to be Russo's assistant?
Maybe it was.
Vince, I've noticed you're a little bit different in this show than any other show we've ever done. What is going through your head right now when you're thinking about Ed Ferrara? It seems like there's a lot of emotion there.
First of all, I wish this could be this week's show. This shouldn't just be Patreon show. This should be the show, because I've never talked about a lot of these things before. These people, these critics have no clue what it takes to write a good wrestling television show. They have no idea, bro. They don't have, bro. I don't think Vince McMahon could tell you right now what it takes to write a good wrestling show, because what it takes more than anything else is chemistry, bro. It takes people being on the same page. Don't freaking tell me Hunter doesn't have an agenda, and Stephanie doesn't have an agenda, and Shane doesn't have an agenda, and Vince. They all have agendas, bro. And that's why you're seeing a pile of steaming horse crap. Okay, bro? You need chemistry. You need You need writers that are on the same page with the same purpose, with the same goals. That's what you need. Bro, outside of me and Ed, I don't know. And that period of time, I don't know if that ever existed before in the wrestling business, because it was more than two guys working together. It really was. It was more than that.
And that's what I want to speak of, because that's your manner that's different right now. Outside of wrestling, it seems like you're kind of going through the ringer a little bit with this Ed thing. How the emotions it brings up in you. What kind of emotions does it bring up as far as outside of wrestling with you and Ed? It seems like a lot of relationships in wrestling, you're like, F this guy. With Ed, it's different. Why is it different with Ed?
Well, bro, it's different with a few people. It's not. It's F this guy, like when I know, like, the guy never cared about me. Like I could, he looked at me as somebody that could further his career. He didn't give a shit about me. But, you have, bro, like, you really have a handful of real relationships, bro. You really have a handful of them. And, bro, did I ever get over Ed staying when I left? Probably not, bro. Bro, is it somewhat hurtful to take every single bullet when Ed and I wrote all that shit together? Yeah, bro, it kind of is, because if I had my partner by my side and it wasn't just Vince saying this, well, then maybe, bro, there isn't the narrative of Vince is a liar and Vince is this and Vince is that. Because if you got the guy that was in the trenches with them saying the same thing, then there is more credibility. So, bro, maybe there's some of that, like maybe there's some of, Ed, getting off the hook, much more easily than I have, yeah, bro, deep down inside, like, I'm sure that stuff is there, when on the surface it's like, bro, I don't give a shit. I'm going to have to deal with it anyway. But if you want to really peel away the leaves, deep down inside, bro, it's the same with freaking Matt Conway. Matt Conway, like, was a college kid. Like, he just graduated from college, was working at TNA as an intern. Okay, bro. I take this kid under my wing. I teach him everything about the wrestling business. He thinks he deserves more money and should get raise increases. I go to bat for him every single time. Okay, bro, guess what? The minute Vince Russo leaves TNA, you never hear from Matt Conway anymore. And, bro, I'll be honest with you. I just caught wind of Matt Conway's mother passing away. I contacted him immediately. Bro, my mother passed away. I never heard from Matt Conway. Bro, a lot of that has to do with who I am and my heritage, and what you expect from other people, you're never going to get back. Bro, there was nobody more tied to Jeff Jarrett's side when his wife was dying of cancer. I was there, bro. I was there every step of the way. I was the guy he called in the middle of the night when Jill passed. Okay, bro, I was in Nashville at the time. In the middle of the night, bro, I got in my car and raced to his house. I was there through the funeral. Okay, I was there through all that. Okay, bro, and for Dixie Carter to tell Jeff, hey, yeah, Vince said this, that, and the other thing about you, and for him to never talk to me again, bro, Terry Taylor. Okay, when Trudy died, I was there, bro. I was at his side. I was the guy talking to him every night. Okay, bro? I was at the funeral. I was calling weekly to make sure, are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Are you okay? Triple H calls. You got the gig back at the WWE. I never hear from you again. Bro, that shit bothers me because it's all bullshit and you are phony and you are not real and you are not sincere, and I don't forget that shit.
With you and Ed, you brought it up just now. The fact, someone asked it on Twitch, the fact that Ed might get a pass on some stuff, and Vince Russo takes all the shrapnel on all the criticism. All of it is Vince, and you're first to give Ed credit in a lot of ways. And someone asked the question, why? I think one reason we know why is, your strong personality, but also you put yourself on screen. How much do you regret? Do you regret at all putting yourself on screen as it relates to how much criticism you get versus Ed?
Bro, I don't regret it. Because it's what I needed to do at the time. So I don't regret it, but I would do the same thing all over again. But I wish I hadn't. Of course, if I could say, God, bro, they would never even know what you look like. God, of course, that would be a freaking dream. But, I did what I did because I thought it was what was best for the show at the time. So, I don't regret it.
How often, if ever, do you get recognized?
Just very often.
Really?
Yeah.
Like once a week? A few times
yeah.
a week?
Yeah. Bro, me and my wife the other day, bro, we were just at this Indian buffet, an Indian buffet, bro, literally around the corner.
Indian buffets are the best. Love them.
Oh, they're the best. And I have no idea what I'm eating.
Me
I don't know. I don't want to know. Don't tell me what it is. The colors are weird. I don't care.
The colors are weird, aren't they?
Yeah, they are weird. Yeah. But me and my wife eat, go to pay the bill. Oh, no, this is taken care of. I'm like, what? And I looked to my right and there was a guy. Bro, I watch your stuff during the Attitude Era. And bro, here's what I always get. I always get this. You don't deserve the criticism you receive. I get, bro, when somebody recognizes me, I get the two things, the Attitude Era and bro, you don't deserve the criticism you get. Those are the two things I always get.
Different topic, but a lot of times someone can say 100 nice things to you, and the one negative is the one that you dwell on all day. Why are you so easy to not let that kind of experience be part of your day versus the experience of someone saying something negative about you?
Bro, because the negative is hateful. It's hateful. It's the hateful, bro. It's not criticizing my work. It's hating the person that you don't even know. That's what it is, bro. And I think, bro, I hate to think about, I'm not comparing myself to Jesus in any way, shape, or form, but I can imagine how Jesus felt when he felt just hate. I can imagine how that just broke his heart. And that's what it does to me because, bro, it's hate. It's absolute hate. And I'm standing here and I'm I could tell you without a shadow of a doubt, bro, you got no reason whatsoever to freaking hate me. There is nothing about me as a person for you to hate. And that, bro, it really tears at my core.
We're in complete agreement about that, for sure. It's ridiculous. And I hope, I'm going to keep reminding you of it, that those positive experiences stick with you a little bit of being recognized. With Ed, to kind of put a bow on this, it didn't work in TNA. How long did Ed work with you in TNA, and what was the relationship like? What was the process like?
Yeah, I mean, it was, bro, keep in mind, Eric was brought in. So, Eric became part of it, and, freaking, I think Ed despised Eric more than I did. That's all Dixie, bro. I mean, again, like, Dixie's a great, wonderful woman, human being, but her structure of that place was just incomprehensible, bro. Incomprehensible. The fact that, Russo and Ferrara literally put Eric Bischoff out of business. And now we're bouncing our stuff off of him. I mean, bro, it was just ridiculous, bro.
What was did Matt Conway and Ed Ferrara exist in the same?
Yes,
time?
yeah, Matt Conway can get along with anybody. Matt Conway and Ed got along really, really well. Yes.
Was Matt more of your number two than Ed was at the time?
Probably because he'd been with me longer at that point.
With Ed in TNA, he was more independent than he was with you before?
I think he was just phoning it in, bro. I think he was just collecting a paycheck. I think he was over wrestling. He was trying to do the best job he could. He needed a job, bro. And then, like I said, bro, you gotta understand something. I hate to say this, bro. When you throw like Eric Bischoff in the mix, Matt, I'm telling you, bro, the fun goes out the window. Like there's no, when you have to work with that guy, bro, there's no fun in it anymore. It literally becomes a job. And once Eric was added to that mix, bro, Ed was not enjoying the experience.
So how did who left first, TNA, you or Ed? It was Ed, right?
No, it was Ed, bro. And like I kind of told Ed that because Eric was hired and Hulk was hired and Dixie had to cut payroll. But bro, I got to be honest with you, I probably wanted him to go. And I probably used that as an excuse because it was a couple of things, bro. It was our relationship had changed. I told you it was kind of like a teacher-student thing. Eric gets added to that mix after Ed is hired. I know Eric doesn't like Eric. I know Ed doesn't like Eric. I know Eric and Ed are never going to get along. I know Ed's not having fun anymore. So it was just a combination of all those things, bro.
When you would see Ed in the hallways and everything towards the end of his time there, were you glad to see him or were you just not? No,
I was always there, bro. I talk to him to this day. I get I light up when I talk to Ed. I really, really do, because I don't think anybody can, there's anybody out there that understands the position I was in, what I went through, me as a person. There's nobody that understands it better than Ed. So like, I light up when I get to talk to him. I really do.
Is Ed empathetic of your experience and your position? Does he understand what you're going through and what you've gone through as far as the criticism has gone?
I think he does. I do. I think he does,
And that brings to an end your working relationship with Ed Ferrara, right?
Yeah. I think, like I said, bro, we're still friends. I would have him involved a lot more in what I do now, but he doesn't want to be around wrestling. He doesn't want to have anything to do. I don't blame him. I would never want to drag him back in it. I totally get it, and I totally understand it. And that's why I just, I let him do his thing.
With the conversation you had with Ed where you said maybe you used that situation as a way to kind of end things with Ed at TNA. Did you have the conversation with him where you said he's no longer needed at TNA?
Yeah.
And what was that conversation like from his viewpoint?
Well, I think more than anything else, bro, what he was really concerned about was just like losing the job. Yeah, you know what I'm saying? I don't think, bro, he was emotionally connected at any, on any level at that point. I don't think he cared about the job. I don't think he was enjoying the job. I just think it was like, oh shit, what am I going to do next?
Was he pissed off at you?
No,
He just knew Bischoff, Hogan, the writing's on the wall, blah, blah, blah.
Yeah.
And so that was it. And you are friends with him to this day, right?
Yes.
How's your relationship now compared to maybe when he was in TNA? Is it better now or worse?
Oh, yeah. No, it's a lot better, bro. I mean, the fact that he's removed from wrestling and like I'm not really in the day-to-day, working for a company type of thing, it's 100% fine.
Have you talked to him have you both laid it on the table as far as resentments and experiences? There's nothing left to be said, or is there still kind of like some festering resentments?
Nah, bro. We never had that conversation, bro. Like I've never said the things to Ed I probably said here on this show, but I don't see any need to, bro. I mean, guy, bro, you're going back almost 20 freaking years. You know what I'm saying? And I don't hold that against him. I mean, I know I don't. I mean, I still call him. I still stay in touch with him. I still love to talk to him. So like, I don't hold any of that against him.
Do you think that a lot of the Vince Russo story is the Vince Russo and Ed Ferrara story?
Oh, absolutely, I do.
What do you think his legacy is in wrestling?
God, bro, that's really hard to say. I mean, there is no doubt he was one half of a duo of the most successful writing team in wrestling history. I mean, there's no doubt about that. I don't make any freaking bones about that whatsoever. But you know what, bro? Like I think Ed wants to be forgotten, and I think Ed has. Bro, I want to be forgotten. I swear to God, bro. I tell Ed every time I talk to him, bro, I would give anything to be in your shoes. I would give anything, bro. You got a job. You're a teacher. You don't need to have anything to do with wrestling. You don't need to rely on it. I tell him all the time, bro, I would do anything to be in your shoes.
I see that in you because you said the same thing about John Arezzi. That you're envious of that situation.
Yep.
And but I think this has been a great show. Like you said, it's good enough where you think maybe it could be the actual truth with consequences. Vince, what's the final word on Ed Ferrara, Vince Russo? Describe that partnership in a few words as we bring today's bonus
well, bro, I'll tell you, like, man, it's like. Bro, I've been married for 35 years. And I could tell you, my marriage of 35 years has been a walk in the park compared to relationships in wrestling. And, bro, like I say, I look back at, the Terry Taylors, and I look back, at the Jeff Jarrett's. And, the one thing about the Ed Ferrara relationship was, bro, like it did withstand the test of time. Like we went through our ups and we went through our downs, and we were in the trenches together, and we did not speak. But at the end of the day, we came out of it friends. I can't say that about Jeff. There was a point, bro, far and away. I was closest to Jeff Jarrett as I was to anybody in the wrestling business, without a shadow of a doubt, bro. My freaking book, is dedicated to his wife. Okay, bro, it's dedicated to his wife. We don't talk, bro. We haven't talked for years. That breaks my freaking heart. And you know why, bro? You know why I don't go out of my way to talk to him again? Because it'll be phony. It would be phony wrestling bullshit. I'm 58, bro. I don't know how much time I have left. I'm not interested in phony wrestling bullshit. You're either my friend or you're not my friend. I know with Ed Ferrara at this point in time, it's not phony wrestling bullshit. He's got nothing to do with the wrestling business, and we remain friends. That is the most important thing.